Hi everyone, I'm Lisa and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. Halloween is quickly approaching and you've told me you could use a Halloween card idea or two, so I've got one for you today and it's a little out of the box. It's going to give you an opportunity to look at stamp sets you already have in a whole new way. I'm going to be teaching you a silhouette technique and also some masking and sponging. It's simple, but it's really cute and I'm excited to show you how to create it. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started. Isn't this adorable and quite simple? And you're not going to believe where I got this image from. Let's start by doing the masking technique. I'm using a Whisper White card base that I'm actually going to fold in half, and all my stamping is going to be done right on here. Grabbing myself a bone folder for that nice crisp edge on my card. I'm going to be creating a stencil for us to sponge that moon through. To create the stencil, I'm going to use a 2 1/4 inch circle punch. And I'm going to come in as far as I can here until the punch stops. And I'm just going to punch myself a circle. We're going to be using the negative of this part to create the moon. And you're going to need a variation of colors as well as a couple sponges. Now my sponge looks stained and that's because I reuse them. I wash them out with soap and water and let them air dry. Because it's dye-based ink, I'm able to use them in other colors once they're clean. And to hold this down to my work surface, I'm going to use some Post-it notes. And I want to make sure that I've got the whole front of the card covered so that I don't get ink in an area I don't want it. So this is just going to help hold it in place. I have Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to grab one of my sponges. I'm going to hold it by the wedge to keep my fingers clean, and I'm going to load up the sponge with ink here on the ink pad. Now, in order to control the depth of this, I like to stamp off a little bit. So it's not too dark to begin with, so I can decide how dark I want it and how light I want it. And I'm making small circular motions right inside the opening of this card. So I'm going to do the same thing again, dabbing off. Small circular motions. The intensity of this is based on how much ink that you want to place on here. So I'm going to make this pretty dark, especially here in the center. I'm also going to add a second color. Once I'm happy with it now, I'm going to switch over to pumpkin pie ink. I'm switching sponges as well. So I have another clean sponge. I'm going to ink that up in my ink pad. And again, I'm going to dab off so I can control it. And this time, I'm going to concentrate mostly on the outside edge. So I want more orange on one side, but I want to create it like a halo around this moon. So I'm going to give it a little orange all the way around, but I'm going to actually make it darker on one side. That's going to give a little bit of a depth to this image as well. So I'm just going, same technique, small circles all the way around. I'm going to set that off to the side. I'm going to remove my Post-it notes. And I have one more here. And then I'm going to lift my stencil. And now I have my moon. Isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to add my cat. And believe it or not, look at this. It's an outline image. This cat comes from the stamp set called You've Got Style. And it's in the annual catalog. Really funny images, but this cat caught my eye and I thought, I wonder what would happen if I made it a silhouette. So I'm going to use basic black ink. I'm going to stamp him and I'm going to overlap him a little bit right here on that moon. And I'm going to press. Basic black ink is a little slow to dry, so I'm going to set that aside because I don't want to smear it when I go to color it in. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to make a little tiny banner for the Halloween greeting. I'm using my basic black ink one more time, and I've got the words Happy Halloween. These come from the stamp set called Teeny Tiny Wishes. It includes the holidays as well as regular sentiments. So I'm going to ink that up, and you can see that those words are tiny. That lends credence to the name, and I'm going to stamp them right here in the middle of my banner. I'm going to set that aside for now to dry as well. I'm going to come back to my cat. I'm going to use the basic black marker in order to color this in. I'm actually going to color in the entire thing. There are two sides to the Stampin' Up! Marker. There's the brush side, which is intended for coloring, and then there is a pen side that's intended for journaling. Oftentimes, this really thin part works really well to color in, but I noticed that it colors in very much like a ballpoint pen, so I try to use the brush tip whenever I can. All right, there we've got our image all filled in. Isn't that adorable and simple? All right, remember this piece here with the words? What I want to do now is I want to create banner tips on each end. So I'm going to do that by cutting a slit inside the center on both sides, just a small slit right in the center. And then I'm going to cut from the outside edge to the top of the slit. And that's going to give me a perfect banner tip every single time. The slit up the center first is the secret. It really is. All right, so now we have our little banner. I wanted to mount that using dimensionals. And the new mini dimensionals are fabulous for this. So I've got mine here. So I'm going to pull some of those off. I'm going to add one here to the back and a second in the center. I try to balance these out because when you mail them, obviously they're going to go through the postage machine. I don't want them to sag too badly. And the neck greeting is going to go right here underneath the feet. So there we go. Really a simple card. Here's the one we made today. Here's the one I made before you joined me. Can you see the variations in the color? A little more yellow, a little bit more orange. Remember to head over to my blog where you can see pictures and supplies for today's card. I'm so glad that you joined me, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.